The vast emptiness of space lit up with a cascade of quantum signatures as the Correxian battle fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Sol's heliopause. Admiral Vexthor stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dawn, his scaled hands clasped behind his back as he observed the primitive solar system before him. The humans had barely managed to colonize their own moon, or so their intercepted transmissions suggested. Fleet Commander Zira approached with a tablet displaying their initial scans. "Admiral, we've detected their defensive platforms, primitive kinetic weapons, and nuclear warheads. Nothing our shields can't handle." Vexthor's mandibles clicked in amusement. The Correxian Empire had conquered 17 star systems in the past decade alone. Each species they'd encountered had tried to appear more formidable than they were. Some had built massive ships to compensate for their technological inadequacies. Others had attempted to hide their worlds behind asteroid fields or gas giants, but none had succeeded in resisting the Empire's integration protocols. "Begin the standard approach," Vexthor ordered. "Broadcast the integration message on all frequencies. Let's see how quickly these humans surrender." Deep within the asteroid belt, Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force watched the alien fleet's arrival on quantum-encrypted displays. The corners of her mouth twitched upward as she observed their predictable formation. The Correxians were doing exactly what Earth's synopsychologists had predicted, underestimating humanity based on what they wanted to see. "They're broadcasting, Captain," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported from his communication station. "Standard conquest template, demanding our immediate surrender and integration into their empire." Chen nodded, her dark eyes reflecting the holographic display, showing the positions of Earth's true defense fleet. For decades, humanity had maintained the appearance of a fledgling spacefaring civilization. Their public space program used chemical rockets and basic ion drives. Their orbital platforms carried only conventional weapons, but it was all carefully crafted deception. "Status of the quantum mesh?" she asked. "Operating at full capacity, Captain. They're seeing exactly what we want them to see. Their scans are being fed controlled data through the mesh." The quantum mesh was humanity's greatest defensive achievement, a vast network of quantum-entangled particles that could alter the very fabric of local space-time. To the Correxian sensors, Earth appeared to be a technological backwater. They couldn't detect the advanced shipyards hidden in dimensional pockets throughout the solar system, or the antimatter production facilities buried deep within Mercury's crust. "They're launching fighter squadrons," Rodriguez reported. "Standard intimidation pattern." Chen opened a secure channel to Earth Defense Command. "This is Captain Chen. The Correxians have arrived as predicted, requesting permission to proceed with Protocol Omega." The response came immediately. "Permission granted, Captain. Show them why humanity chose to hide our strength." Chen straightened in her command chair. "Battle stations. Power up the quantum drives. Let's show these aliens why appearances can be deceiving." The asteroid belt suddenly came alive as dozens of human ships dropped their quantum camouflage. The Correxian sensors, designed to detect conventional energy signatures, couldn't process what they were seeing. Where moments ago there had been only lifeless rocks, now there were warships unlike anything they'd encountered. On the Eternal Dawn's bridge, alarms blared as new contacts appeared on their tactical displays. Vexthor's mandibles clacked in agitation. "Impossible. Where did they come from?" "Status report. Admiral, we're detecting energy signatures we can't classify," his science officer reported, panic evident in his voice. "They're ships. They're manipulating quantum fields in ways our sensors can't track." Before Vexthor could respond, Captain Chen's voice echoed through their communication systems. "Attention Correxian fleet. You have entered restricted space and demonstrated hostile intent. This is your only warning. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences of your actions." The Correxian admiral's pride wouldn't allow him to retreat. "Launch all fighters. Target their largest vessel." But as the Correxian fighters streaked toward the human fleet, they encountered something unprecedented. The space around them began to twist and distort. Quantum fields manipulated by human technology created localized pockets where the laws of physics themselves seemed to change. Fighters found themselves flying through regions where time moved differently. Others encountered spaces where their weapons simply ceased to function. The carefully coordinated attack dissolved into chaos as the limits of Coraxian technology became painfully apparent. Chen watched the display with calculated calm. Target their weapon systems only. Minimal force. Let's show them what humanity is capable of when we stop holding back. Beams of coherent quantum energy lanced out from the human ships, each shot striking with surgical precision. Coraxian weapon systems simply shut down as quantum fields rewrote the underlying physics that made them work. On the eternal dawn, Vexthor watched in horror as his mighty fleet was systematically disabled by technology he couldn't even understand. The humans hadn't built massive ships to compensate for weakness. They'd hidden their true strength to avoid unnecessary conflict. As his ships hung powerless in space, Vexthor received another transmission from Captain Chen. This demonstration is complete. Your weapons will remain offline for the next hour. Use this time to consider your choices carefully. Humanity prefers peace, but we are more than capable of defending ourselves. What happens next is your decision. The Coraxian admiral stared at the silent weapon consoles, then at the quantum-shrouded human ships that had so thoroughly outmatched his fleet. For the first time in his career, he began to understand the true cost of underestimating an opponent. In the tense hour that followed, the Coraxian fleet drifted in formation, their mighty weapons rendered useless by human quantum technology. Admiral Vexthor paced the bridge of the eternal dawn, his scaled tail twitching with barely contained fury as his best engineers attempted to restore their systems. "How?" he demanded, turning to his chief science officer. "How did they hide this level of advancement from our long-range scouts?" The science officer, Krell, manipulated a series of holographic displays showing their analysis of the human vessels. "Sir, they've developed something we thought impossible. True quantum field manipulation. Their entire solar system is wrapped in layers of altered space-time. What we saw in our initial scans was exactly what they wanted us to see." On the bridge of the EDF Artemis, Captain Chen monitored the Coraxian fleet's attempts to restore their weapons. Her ship's quantum sensors could detect every fluctuation in their power systems, every desperate attempt to bypass the quantum locks placed on their technology. "Status report on the rest of the system," she asked. Lieutenant Rodriguez gestured at his tactical display. "The quantum mesh is holding stable. Earth Defense Command reports all civilian populations are safely secured in their shelter complexes. The Mars and Europa colonies are running silent under full quantum shrouding." Chen nodded, then turned to her science officer. "Dr. Patel, what's your analysis of their technology?" Dr. Patel, a brilliant quantum physicist who had helped develop humanity's defensive systems, studied the readings from the Coraxian fleet. Their technology is impressive by conventional standards. Antimatter reactors, graviton drives, phase shields, but they're still working with fundamental forces in a linear fashion. They haven't made the leap to true quantum manipulation, which is why they never saw us coming, Chen mused. They were looking for heat signatures, radiation, gravitational distortions, not quantum field fluctuations. The hour was nearly up when Admiral Vexthor made his decision. His pride warred with his tactical training, but in the end, survival won out. He opened a channel to the human fleet. "This is Admiral Vexthor of the Coraxian Empire. We request negotiations." Captain Chen allowed herself a small smile. "This is Captain Chen. We accept. However, you should be aware that we've detected your subspace transmission to the Empire requesting reinforcements. Those ships will find the same welcome if they arrive with hostile intent." Vexthor's mandibles clicked in surprise. They'd even detected that. "How did you?" "Admiral," Chen interrupted, "perhaps it's time we showed you why humanity chose to appear less advanced than we are. With your permission, I'll transport aboard your vessel to explain." Before Vexthor could respond, a shimmer of quantum energy appeared on his bridge. The human captain stepped out of what appeared to be a localized distortion in space-time itself. No transport beam, no energy signature. She had simply manipulated the quantum fabric of reality to move between ships. The Correction bridge crew stared in shock. Their security systems hadn't even registered the transport. Chen smiled diplomatically at their reactions. "Your weapons will be restored in 5 minutes," she said calmly. "I'm here as a gesture of trust. Shall we talk about why humanity chose to hide its true capabilities?" Vexthor found himself nodding, his curiosity finally overcoming his wounded pride. Chen gestured, and a holographic display appeared between them, showing the history of human technological development. 50 years ago, we discovered quantum field manipulation, she explained, not just observing or measuring quantum effects, but actively controlling them. We could have used this technology to conquer nearby star systems, to establish ourselves as a dominant force. Instead, we chose a different path. The display showed various alien civilizations, including the Corrections, advancing through space. We watched as younger races developed, saw how first contact often led to conflict when technological disparities were too great. So we made a decision. We would appear to be a young, developing civilization ourselves. But why? Vexthor asked. With this level of technology, you could have conquered, dominated. Yes, we could have. Chen agreed. But humanity learned from its own bloody history. True strength isn't about showing power. It's about knowing when not to use it. We developed our quantum technology specifically for defense, creating systems that could neutralize hostile forces without destroying them. As if to emphasize her point, the Correction weapons suddenly hummed back to life. But Vexthor noticed something else. His tactical displays now showed dozens of additional human ships that had been there all along, completely invisible to their sensors until now. You never needed to reveal yourselves, he realized. You could have simply disabled our entire fleet without us ever seeing you. Chen nodded. This is why we're showing you now. The Correction Empire needs to understand that there are forces in this galaxy beyond your current comprehension. But we're not your enemies, unless you choose to make us so. She turned to the window, gesturing at the stars beyond. There are threats coming that will require all of us to work together. Ancient races with technologies that even we barely understand. This little demonstration wasn't just about defending Earth. It was about showing you that there's still so much more to learn. Vexthor looked at his weapon controls, now fully functional again, then back at the human captain who had so casually appended his understanding of the universe. Perhaps, he said slowly, it is time for the Correction Empire to reconsider its approach to first contact. Chen smiled. That, Admiral, is exactly what we were hoping you'd say. The Eternal Dawn's conference room buzzed with tension as Admiral Vexthor's senior staff gathered to process the revelations about human technology. Captain Chen had returned to her ship, leaving behind not just restored weapons systems, but also a profound sense of unease among the Correction leadership. Commander Zyra, who had been so confident in their superiority just hours ago, replayed the sensor logs of the human quantum transportation. It violates everything we thought we knew about physics. They didn't just teleport, they manipulated the fundamental structure of space itself. The implications are staggering. Science Officer Krell added, his claws tapping nervously on the crystalline table. If they can alter quantum fields at will, their potential military applications go far beyond what we witness today. They could theoretically reshape matter, redirect energy, even manipulate time on a localized scale. Vexthor absorbed their analysis in silence, his pride as a Correction military commander warring with his duty to protect the Empire's interests. The humans had demonstrated power that made the Empire's most advanced technology look primitive by comparison. Yet they had chosen to reveal themselves through a show of restraint rather than dominance. Admiral, his strategic officer spoke up, the reinforcement fleet will arrive in 6 hours. They launched as soon as they received our distress signal. What are your orders? Before Vexthor could respond, A gentle chime indicated an incoming transmission from the human fleet. Captain Chen's hologram appeared in the center of the conference room, her expression serious but not hostile. "Admiral, we've detected your reinforcement fleet's approach vector. I thought you might appreciate some context before they arrive." She gestured, and the hologram expanded to show a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. "This is what we've been protecting humanity from." Red markers appeared throughout the map, spreading like a virus across entire sectors of space. 3 months ago, our deep space quantum sensors detected these anomalies. We believe they represent an ancient race returning to this part of the galaxy, one that sees younger civilizations as nothing more than resources to be harvested. The correction officers watched in stunned silence as simulation data showed entire star systems going dark as the unknown force advanced. Vex Thor's scales bristled with primitive fear. "How certain are you of this threat?" "Certain enough that we're breaking our policy of technological secrecy," Chen replied. "Humanity didn't develop quantum field manipulation for conquest, Admiral. We developed it because we detected traces of this technology being used millions of years ago, and we knew that someday its creators would return." On the Artemis, Dr. Patel approached Captain Chen's command chair with fresh analysis. "The Coraxian reinforcement fleet is larger than we anticipated. 35 capital ships, all armed with their latest weapons technology." Chen nodded, unsurprised. The Coraxian Empire hadn't become a dominant force in their region of space by responding timidly to challenges. Continue monitoring their quantum signatures. If they arrive with hostile intent, we'll have to demonstrate more of our defensive capabilities. Back on the Eternal Dawn, Vex Thor made his decision. "Open a channel to the reinforcement fleet," he ordered. "Priority 1 encryption." The face of Fleet Commander Sarkax appeared on their screens, his ceremonial battle armor gleaming. "Admiral, we're approaching the Sol system at maximum speed. Our weapons are hot and—" "Stand down, Commander," Vex Thor interrupted. "Code Omega 793. Full stop and maintain position at the system's edge." Sarkax's expression shifted from surprise to outrage. "Admiral, surely you're not suggesting we retreat from these primitives? Our latest intelligence showed them barely capable of interplanetary travel." "That intelligence," Vex Thor said quietly, "was exactly what they wanted us to see. The humans have technology that makes our most advanced systems look like children's toys. They could have destroyed our entire fleet without revealing themselves. Instead, they chose to teach us a lesson about assumptions." He transmitted the sensor data from their encounter. Watching this, Sarkax's expression shifted from dismissal to disbelief to genuine fear. "By the first egg," the fleet commander whispered. "How did they achieve this level of advancement without us detecting it?" "Because they understand something we fail to grasp," Vex Thor replied. "True power isn't about domination. It's about wisdom. And right now, Commander, they're offering us a choice between wisdom and destruction." The quantum sensors on the Artemis detected the reinforcement fleet's sudden deceleration. Captain Chen allowed herself a small nod of satisfaction. "They're learning," she murmured. Lieutenant Rodriguez looked up from his communication station. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from Admiral Vex Thor. He's requesting permission to share our warning about the ancient threat with his superiors on the Coraxian homeworld." "Permission granted," Chen replied. "And inform Earth Defense Command that Phase 1 of First Contact Protocols has been successfully completed. It's time to show our new allies why humanity has been preparing for war while pretending to be at peace." Earth Defense Command's quantum-shielded conference chamber hummed with energy as holographic representatives from both civilizations gathered for an unprecedented meeting. Admiral Vex Thor, physically present alongside Captain Chen, found himself struggling to process the true scope of human advancement as the chamber's quantum field generators stripped away the last layers of technological deception. Where satellite imagery had shown scattered cities and basic infrastructure, vast megalopolises now shimmered beneath quantum shields. Orbital shipyards, previously invisible, emerged from their dimensional pockets around Earth, Mars, and several moons of Jupiter. But it was what lay beneath Mercury's surface that truly stunned the Coraxian delegation. The forge, Dr. Paddle explained, manipulating the holographic display to show the massive installation buried within Mercury's crust, humanity's primary quantum manufacturing facility. We've been using the sun's energy, filtered through quantum field manipulators, to create technologies that defy conventional physics. Fleet Commander Xarkax, attending via hologram, leaned forward. You've turned an entire planet into a weapons factory. Captain Chen shook her head. Not weapons, defensive systems. What you're seeing is humanity's response to a threat we detected decades ago. We call them the Harvesters. Ancient beings who see younger races as nothing more than resources to be consumed. The display shifted, showing long-range quantum sensor data. Entire regions of space wavered with distortions that made Vexthor's scales itch just looking at them. These readings, he said slowly, they're similar to your quantum technology. But wrong somehow. Corrupted, Chen confirmed. The Harvesters don't just manipulate quantum fields, they tear them apart, consuming the very fabric of reality to fuel their expansion. Every civilization they encounter becomes raw material for their consumption. Dr. Paddle brought up new data streams. We detected their quantum wake 20 years ago. It's why we developed our technology in secret, why we maintain the illusion of being a primitive species. The Harvesters typically ignore civilizations they deem too primitive to be worth harvesting. But you're far from primitive, Vexthor observed. Your quantum technology is designed specifically to counter theirs, Chen interrupted. Every quantum shield, every dimensional pocket, every piece of technology we've developed has been created with one purpose: to resist and repel a Harvester threat when they arrive. The holographic display zoomed out, showing the relative positions of Earth, the Coraxian Empire, and the approaching quantum distortions. We estimate we have 3 years before they reach this sector of space. That's why we revealed ourselves to you today, Admiral. The Coraxian Empire's territory will be among the first systems they encounter. Vexthor felt his blood run cold. Our weapons were useless against your defensive systems, against these Harvesters. You wouldn't stand a chance, Chen confirmed grimly. But that's why we're showing you this now. Humanity is offering an alliance. We'll share our quantum defensive technology with the Coraxian Empire. The conference room erupted in surprised chittering from the Coraxian officers. Share their most advanced technology with a potential rival. It seemed impossible. Yet the humans appeared completely serious. Why would you do this? Fleet Commander Xarkax demanded. You could let our empire fall. Use the time to fortify your own defenses. Chen's expression hardened. Because that's not who we are. Humanity learned long ago that survival isn't about being the strongest or most advanced. It's about working together. We hid our technology not out of fear, but to avoid unnecessary conflicts while we prepared for the real threat. She gestured and new holographic displays appeared, showing detailed schematics for quantum shield generators and field manipulators. These are yours, freely given. Our engineers are ready to begin installation at key points throughout your territory. In return, we ask for your cooperation in preparing a united defense against the Harvesters. Admiral Vexthor studied the human captain carefully. In all his years commanding Coraxian forces, he had never encountered a species willing to share such advanced technology without demanding substantial concessions in return. And if we refuse, then we'll respect your decision, Chen replied simply. But know that when the Harvesters come, we won't be able to protect your systems without this technology in place. The choice, Admiral, is yours. The Coraxian Admiral looked again at the quantum wake approaching their space, then at the incredible technological achievements humanity had hidden for so long. His people were warriors, proud and strong. But perhaps it was time for the Coraxian Empire to learn a lesson about true strength from these humans who had mastered the art of appearing weak. The Coraxian Empire, he declared formally, accepts your offer of alliance. May our combined strength be enough to face what comes. Captain Chen smiled, extending her hand in the human gesture of agreement. As Vexthor carefully clasped it with his scaled fingers, quantum sensors throughout the solar system detected new distortions forming at the edge of monitored space. The harvesters were advancing faster than predicted. The real test of humanity's preparation, and the newly formed alliance, was about to begin. The quantum wake of the harvester fleet rippled through space like a tsunami of corrupted reality. In the 2 months since the Human Correction Alliance had formed, both civilizations had worked tirelessly to prepare their defenses. Now, as the first harvester ships emerged from quantum space at the edge of Coraxian territory, that preparation would be tested. Captain Chen stood on the bridge of the Artemis, now joined by Admiral Vexthor's flagship and a combined fleet of human and Coraxian vessels. The Coraxian ships gleamed with newly installed quantum shielding, their conventional weapons augmented by human quantum field technology. Multiple quantum ruptures detected. Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his voice steady despite the tension. Harvester ships emerging. By the stars. The tactical display showed vessels that defied conventional understanding. They weren't built so much as grown, their hulls composed of crystallized quantum fields that pulsed with hungry purpose. Where they passed, space itself seemed to wither and decay. They're larger than our projections suggested, Dr. Patel noted, studying the sensor readings. The quantum corruption in their wake is off the charts. Admiral Vexthor's voice came through the quantum-encrypted channel. By the first egg, they're consuming the very fabric of space itself. Our outer colony sensors are going dark just from proximity. This is why we prepared, Chen responded calmly. All ships, initiate Protocol Omega. Deploy quantum anchors. Throughout the combined fleet, ships began launching specially designed devices, humanity's ultimate defensive technology. The quantum anchors activated, creating a web of stable quantum fields that reinforced the fundamental structure of space itself. The effect was immediate. The harvester's corrupting influence slammed into the quantum web like a wave hitting a breakwater. Their advance slowed, then stopped as they encountered space they couldn't easily devour. For the first time in their ancient history, the harvesters hesitated. Then they attacked. Beams of corrupted quantum energy lashed out at the defensive line, attempting to tear apart the very reality around the Allied fleet. But where those beams struck, human quantum shields flared with brilliant light, absorbing and redirecting the energy harmlessly into subspace. All ships, execute attack pattern Delta, Chen ordered. Remember your training. Don't let them establish a quantum lock on your position. The combined fleet moved with practiced precision. Coraxian weapons, enhanced by human quantum technology, fired streams of coherent energy that could actually harm the harvester vessels. Human ships phased in and out of normal space, striking from impossible angles with weapons that disrupted the harvester's quantum crystalline structure. On the eternal dawn, Vexthor watched in amazement as the supposedly invincible harvesters found themselves truly challenged for the first time in eons. They're falling back, he announced. Their quantum field integrity is destabilizing. Don't celebrate yet, Chen cautioned. They're adapting. All ships, prepare for Phase 2. The harvesters, realizing their usual tactics of consumption and corruption were being countered, began to change their strategy. Their ships merged together, forming massive crystalline structures that pulsed with malevolent purpose. Energy spike, Rodriguez shouted. They're attempting to create a quantum singularity. Now, Chen ordered simply. Throughout the system, hidden quantum generators activated. The space around the battlefield began to shift and change as humanity revealed their final secret. They hadn't just learned to manipulate quantum fields, they had learned to rewrite them entirely. The laws of physics themselves began to change in carefully controlled ways. The harvester's attempted singularity collapsed in on itself as the very principles it relied on were altered. Their crystalline ships, dependent on specific quantum states, began to lose cohesion. This is impossible, one of the Coraxian science officers breathed. You can't just change the laws of physics. Not permanently, and not everywhere, Dr. Paddle explained, but in a localized area, for a short time. That's exactly what the harvesters have been doing to consume reality. We just learned to do it better than they did. The battle that followed would be remembered for generations. The harvesters, for the first time in their ancient existence, found themselves facing an enemy that could not only resist their quantum corruption, but could turn their own tactics against them. One by one, their ships began to fail as the altered physics made their very existence untenable. Those that could still flee did so, leaving behind a graveyard of crystallized quantum matter and valuable data for the Allies to study. Hours later, in the quantum-shielded conference room, Captain Chen and Admiral Vexthor watched as reports came in from across the sector. The harvesters had retreated completely from known space, their quantum wake diminishing into the distance. "They'll be back," Chen said quietly. "This was just their vanguard, testing our defenses. But now they know we can hurt them." Vexthor nodded, his scales gleaming under the quantum lights. "And we'll be ready. The Corexian Empire has already begun sharing your defensive technologies with other species in our sector. The next time they come, they'll face a united galaxy." "That was always humanity's goal," Chen replied with a small smile. "We didn't hide our advancement out of fear or deception, but because we knew that true strength comes from unity. Sometimes the best way to teach that lesson is to appear weak until the right moment. A lesson my people won't soon forget," Vexthor agreed. "The Corexian Empire built itself on the belief that strength should be displayed and used to dominate. You've shown us a better way." As cleanup operations began and the quantum anchors continued their vigilant watch, humanity's long deception finally came to an end. The galaxy now knew their true capabilities, but more importantly, they understood why such power had been hidden for so long. In the years that followed, the Human-Corexian Alliance became the foundation of a new galactic coalition. Species that had once competed for dominance now worked together, preparing for the harvester's inevitable return. And at the heart of it all was the lesson humanity had taught through their carefully crafted appearance of weakness. True strength lies not in the power you display, but in the wisdom to know when and how to use it.